Let's get started with our first news. Jon Jones reacted to a powerful piece of footage featuring Daniel Cormier, which he reposted to his Instagram story. The clip captured a vulnerable moment where Cormier opened up about what he considers the biggest regret of his entire MMA career, his second loss to Jon Jones. That particular fight, once considered a defining moment in their rivalry, was later ruled a no contest due to Jones's failed drug test. Still, for Cormier, the emotional weight of that loss has remained. In response to the video, Jon chose not to write any words. Instead, he responded with a silent but loaded message, a combination of visual reactions that seemed to reflect acknowledgement, maybe even a subtle form of respect or reflection on their shared history. In the video, Cormier was asked what he was most proud of in his career and what he regretted the most. His answer was raw and honest. Most proud? Just all of it, he said. I started when I was almost 31 years old. My first fight was around that time, so I'm proud of what I managed to do at that age. That statement speaks volumes about Cormier's journey in the sport. Starting a professional fighting career at nearly 31 is far from the norm. Most fighters begin in their teens or early 20s. Despite that, Cormier managed to rise to the top, become a world champion in multiple divisions, and earn a reputation as one of the most respected and accomplished athletes in MMA history. His pride is justified, not just in the wins, but in the obstacles he overcame to achieve them. Age, experience gaps, and the pressure of late entry into the sport didn't stop him from carving out a legendary career. Then came the harder part of the question, his biggest regret. Without hesitation, Cormier pointed to the second fight with Jon Jones. I don't know, man, and probably that fight in Anaheim against Jones, he said. I was fighting really well, and I started talking to him mid-fight. I lost track, lost focus, and ended up getting kicked in the head. I should have stayed locked in. That's the thing I regret the most. He admitted that he let his confidence take over. He felt so good during the fight that he broke his focus, stepping outside of his disciplined self. That moment of distraction cost him dearly. The head kick knockout delivered by Jones is still one of the most talked about finishes in UFC history. It was a turning point, not just in their rivalry, but in how Cormier viewed himself in the aftermath. For fans, this moment between two of the sport's fiercest rivals reveals something deeper. It's a reminder that behind the bravado and trash talk, there are real human emotions, regret, pride, and perhaps even mutual respect that neither fighter has ever fully spoken out loud. Now moving on to the second news. Cory Sandhagen has made his prediction for the upcoming bantamweight title fight at UFC 316, and he's placing his bets on Merab Dvalishvili to defeat Sean O'Malley again. According to Cory, while he respects Sean as a fighter, he doesn't believe he can make the necessary adjustments to overcome Merab's relentless pace and grappling heavy style in the rematch. In a recent interview, Cory explained why he believes Merab will come out on top. One of the biggest factors for him is Sean's hip surgery, which took place not long after their first encounter. For Sandhagen, that injury and the recovery time that followed are major red flags. He doesn't think Sean could have developed his grappling and wrestling defense enough during the downtime to keep up with someone as physically dominant and relentless as Merab. Cory said, yeah, I think it's gonna look pretty much the same as the first one. That's just being realistic. Sean was probably couched for like 2 months or so during the time in between. But man, I just don't see Sean being able to get good enough at grappling while he was hurt. He made it clear that this isn't a knock on Sean's intelligence or skill as a striker, but rather a reflection of how tough it is to prepare for someone like Merab, especially when coming off a surgery. Cory went on to explain that while Sean was likely rehabbing and easing back into training, Merab never stopped pushing. In fact, according to Sandhagen, Merab was already preparing for a title fight before the rematch was even booked and has been staying in fight shape. He's way more experienced, Cory said. That was a tough fight for him. While Merab's been working hard, I'm sure Sean has too, but it's not the same as preparing for a championship fight. Merab got a lot more out of this off time than Sean did. However, Sandhagen made sure to clarify that he isn't completely ruling Sean out. He acknowledged O'Malley's sharp fight IQ and his dangerous striking abilities. Cory noted that Sean has an eye for exploiting weaknesses, and Merab still has holes in his striking despite continuous improvements. Those holes, combined with Sean's power, could potentially shift the fight in his favor if he finds the right moment. I'm definitely not counting Sean out. He's a smart guy with a great eye for the sport. He'll figure out some good stuff. He's got big power, and Merab's striking is still pretty sloppy. He's getting better, but still has holes, just like we all do. But yeah, my money would be on Merab. I'm not dismissing Sean though. It's clear that while Cory Sandhagen is siding with Merab for this rematch, he still recognizes O'Malley as a dangerous and unpredictable competitor who should never be taken lightly. Now on to another interesting development. Garry is back in the spotlight, and this time he's trolling Jack Della Maddalena in a way that only he can. Garry recently announced that he will be serving as the backup fighter for the upcoming UFC welterweight title clash between Belal Muhammad and Jack Della Maddalena, and he's making sure everyone knows it. In a video posted to Instagram, Ian proudly declared his role, writing in the caption, "Official reserve fighter for the world title fight, whether you like it or not. I'm next." There's massive preparation and expense for both camps. If anything falls through, they'll be grateful I'm here. This wasn't just a casual announcement, it was a calculated move to let the fans, the fighters, and the UFC brass know that he's ready to step in if anything goes wrong. In the video, Ian elaborated on his reasoning for showing up in full fight shape. People are asking, why am I here? They're all saying, we're not going to miss weight, we're professionals. But here's the reality. I've been a UFC fan since I was 15 or 16. I've seen plenty of title fights fall through during fight week. He referenced recent examples like Arman Tsarukyan and Charles Oliveira, both of whom were pulled from fights due to issues like illness or injury, emphasizing that it's not uncommon for fights to fall apart at the last minute. Ian continued, there have been so many cases, back cramps, cuts, sickness, missing weight. So many situations have caused fights to collapse. I'm here to make sure the fight happens. I want to see Belal and Jack fight, but in my mind, I'm next. For Garry, showing up as the backup is not just a precaution, it's a statement of intent. He made it crystal clear that he's not just doing this for show. I'm here to make sure that if anything happens, Canada still gets a world title fight and a show. When the Ian Garry show shows up, it's different. So to everyone asking, why am I the backup? Why did I agree to do this? It's because I love to fight, and if an opportunity arises on Saturday night, May 10th, I'm winning a world title. But Garry didn't stop there. In a hilarious and unexpected move, he took the trolling up a notch by targeting Jack directly. He found out what Jack's favorite foods were, and then had his son deliver them to Jack while he was in the middle of cutting weight. In a clip that's since gone viral, Garry's son handed over a gift bag to Jack. "Take these," Ian said with a grin. Jack, looking confused but polite, replied, "Oh, a gift? Thank you." Someone nearby asked Ian, "You gave him a gift? What did you give him?" And Ian, with a smirk, said, "I hope you enjoy them." The move was bold, cheeky, and perfectly in line with Garry's growing reputation as one of the sport's most confident and entertaining personalities. Whether or not he gets his chance to step into the cage on May 10th, one thing's certain: Ian Garry has already stolen the spotlight. Now let's talk about Daniel Cormier again. This time, he's offering an in-depth breakdown of how both Belal Muhammad and Jack Della Maddalena can find their paths to victory ahead of their highly anticipated title fight this weekend. On his YouTube channel, Cormier provided valuable insights based on his years of championship level experience, outlining what each fighter needs to do to get the win. Starting with Belal Muhammad, Cormier emphasized that for Belal to succeed in his first title defense, he has to take a page out of his performance against Leon Edwards. According to Cormier, the key for Belal is pressure, relentless, strategic, and disruptive. Belal has to apply constant pressure, Cormier said. He needs to secure takedowns and keep Jack guessing, because if Jack is able to stand and strike without interruption, Belal will be fighting outside of his comfort zone. That's not where he shines. Cormier pointed out that Belal is most dangerous when he's able to blend all aspects of MMA. But when Belal mixes it up, the wrestling, the takedowns, the striking, he becomes extremely effective. He can fight anyone that way. That's how he knocked out Sean Brady, and that's how he outclassed Leon Edwards. When he overwhelms you with volume, pressure, and pace, he's a serious problem. Cormier also praised Belal's fight IQ and stamina, noting that Belal can drag opponents into deep waters and still look fresh in the championship rounds. That's a key advantage against someone like Jack, who has shown incredible striking but hasn't faced many high-level grapplers for 5 full rounds. As for Jack Della Maddalena, Cormier made it clear that defensive wrestling will be crucial if Jack wants to walk away with the title. He recalled a concerning moment in Jack's career that could hint at potential vulnerabilities. There was a fight Jack had at the Apex against Basil Hafs, Cormier explained. That kid was taking him down repeatedly. It was on short notice, and Jack almost lost that fight because of the wrestling exchanges. It can't look like that against Belal. If he allows those same entries and gets taken down with ease, he's going to be in real trouble. Cormier didn't hold back on what Jack needs to do differently this time. He has to stay upright. He must use movement and circle on the outside. Jack needs to pick at Belal, use his jabs and body shots, and maintain control over the tempo of the fight. If he gets too excited or tries to chase a finish recklessly, that could open him up for takedowns and put him in a bad spot. He added that Jack should stick to his strengths, his sharp boxing, his composure, and his ability to fight at his pace and his range. Cormier concluded by saying, "This is a classic striker versus grappler matchup, but both guys have developed well-rounded skills. It's going to come down to who can impose their style first. It's a battle of strategy, discipline, and execution." And Cormier's breakdown shows just how razor-thin the margin for error will be. Moving on to Tom Aspinall, the interim heavyweight champion is making headlines again, and this time he's firing shots at Jon Jones in a way that's bold, creative, and impossible to ignore. Aspinall recently took to Instagram to post a series of hunting-themed photos, but these weren't just ordinary snapshots of a fighter enjoying the outdoors. In each picture, Jon Jones's head was photoshopped onto a duck, making it very clear who Aspinall was targeting with his message. The caption, short and sharp, it read, "Lovely day for it. Hunting season has begun." This move wasn't just humorous. It was symbolic. In the fight world, calling someone a duck is the equivalent of accusing them of avoiding a fight. And Tom Aspinall didn't hold back with the visual metaphor. By placing Jon's head on a duck in multiple photos, Aspinall is doubling down on his long-standing claim that Jon is avoiding a showdown with him in the octagon. For months now, fans and fighters alike have speculated about when or if Jon Jones will face Tom Aspinall. Jones, who is currently the official UFC heavyweight champion, has been sidelined with an injury and hasn't stepped inside the cage since defeating Cyril Gane. Meanwhile, Aspinall has been on a tear, capturing the interim title and finishing opponents with ease, making a strong case for a unification bout. But despite calls from fans, media, and even UFC President Dana White hinting at the importance of making that fight happen, Jon has not shown much interest in facing Aspinall. Instead, Jones has remained focused on a potential bout with Stipe Miocic, a fight that's been talked about for nearly a year but still hasn't materialized. This has clearly frustrated Aspinall, who feels he's earned the right to face the undisputed champ. The duck imagery then is more than just trolling. It's a way of telling the world that he believes Jon is dodging him. Fans reacted quickly to the post, flooding the comments with laughing emojis, fight predictions, and calls for Jon to respond. While some found it hilarious, others praised Aspinall for doing what he needs to do to keep the pressure on Jones and keep the conversation going. This isn't the first time Aspinall has used social media to try and provoke Jon Jones, but it might be the most direct shot yet. It's not just words anymore, it's visuals, it's public, and it's a challenge that Jon may not be able to ignore forever. As fight week for UFC 304 approaches and attention turns toward the heavyweight division, this post has reignited the buzz. Whether Jon Jones chooses to fire back or remain silent, one thing is certain: Tom Aspinall is doing everything he can to force the fight the fans want to see. And now to the last news of the day. Is Islam Makhachev preparing to move up in weight and challenge for the welterweight title? That's the burning question on everyone's mind right now. While the UFC hasn't officially announced his next opponent, recent clues are pointing to a much bigger move than expected. Literally. Previously, speculation was that Islam's next fight would be against the featherweight champion Ilia Topuria in a high-stakes super fight between two dominant champions. But a new piece of evidence might be throwing that theory out the window. Just last night, a training partner of Islam Makhachev posted something very curious on Instagram. A photo of Islam in camp, along with a message that read, "He goes for the second one at Dana White." That post was then reposted by Islam himself, which immediately set off alarms across the MMA community. Fans and analysts began buzzing online, asking the same question: is Islam going for a second belt, not at featherweight, but at welterweight instead? The idea of Islam moving up to 170 pounds isn't new, but this is the most direct hint we've seen so far, and it lines up with other behind-the-scenes developments. Earlier this week, Islam was seen at UFC headquarters, where he reportedly had a private meeting with Hunter Campbell, the UFC's chief business officer. The timing of that meeting, combined with this cryptic second one message, suggests something much bigger than a standard lightweight title defense. Let's not forget that Islam has already cleaned out much of the lightweight division. He defeated Charles Oliveira, outpointed Alexander Volkanovski, and is currently riding one of the most dominant win streaks in UFC history. For someone like him, chasing greatness now means stepping out of his division and testing himself in new waters. Moving up to welterweight and trying to become a double champ would solidify Islam's legacy alongside legends like Conor McGregor, Daniel Cormier, and Amanda Nunes. It would also shake up the welterweight division, which is already heating up with Belal Muhammad and Jack Della Maddalena set to clash for the vacant belt. If Islam enters the picture, he could potentially challenge the winner of that title fight later this year. However, there are logistical questions too. Will Islam wait for the welterweight picture to settle, or is the UFC planning something sooner than expected? Will the weight jump affect his performance, and how would he handle the size and strength of true 170-pounders? For now, all we have is a cryptic Instagram post, a repost by Islam, and a whole lot of speculation. But one thing's clear, something big is brewing, and if this message really does mean what we think it does, Islam Makhachev might soon be chasing UFC history. So what do you think? Is Islam really going for double champ status? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned, because this story is only just beginning.